Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today, we're going to be doing Behind the Song Episode 7 with Wolfestone Studio, Ron and Jenny from Wolfestone Studio, and we're going to be taking a look at their song, I'll Take You There. So let's kick off with that song, shall we? This is I'll Take You There by Wolfestone Studio. Let's do it. Boom. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Jade. This is How to App on iOS, and we are doing Behind the Song today. It is Friday here in Australia, the end of the week for me. Yay. Let's give some applause for that. Got through another week. Happy days. I hope you're all doing well. What is Behind the Song? Behind the Song is at the end of each month, instead of having an interview here, we have an artist on the show where we take a look at their project of one of their songs. And we break it down track by track, look at the effects that they use, look at what loops they may use, look at their performances, their vocal takes, and we show it warts and all, expose it completely for you so you can learn more techniques, get a better understanding of how other people make music, because sometimes you don't need someone like me sitting here showing you how to do things and explaining techniques and stuff like that. Sometimes it's better just to see how somebody else does it, just to get some ideas and some juices flowing, to change up something different, get something interesting happening with your own music. And that's what this show is about. It is not to like expose an artist and show their flaws or anything like that, because guess what? Everybody's tracks, when you listen to them, isolated, sound like shit. I hate listening to my own tracks, especially vocals. And I've had people say to me a long time, "You're a really good vocalist. Your isolated tracks must sound great." No, they sound like dog shit. They just do. It is what it is. It is rock and roll. It is the way things work. I'd like to welcome you all here. I'll quickly run through some names here. Hello, Thomas Christ and Princess LDG, Barry Glenn, Auntie G, Gregory O'Sullivan, Brad Example. Who else did I see here? Joe Glenn. I see Cold Acres here as well. I'm trying to find your name. There's Robbie Stingle. I can't find all the comments. There's Robbie. So Lily Pilly's right at the top of the list. If I've missed you out, I'm trying to scroll. There's Cold Acre there. Why am I doing singing words? Something wrong with me. There's Ron from Wolfestone Studio. So yes, today we have Ron and Jenny from Wolfestone Studios here to take a look at their track. But first, without further ado, I have to pay the bills, my friends, because you know what? Today's show is sponsored by, you guessed it, it's DistroKid. I need some sexy music because I love DistroKid, and you should love DistroKid too because they are amazing. I've been with DistroKid since I think 2015, releasing music through DistroKid. You know why? I was with other distributors back in 2009, I think, and I ditched them. I tried other ones, and I am so happy with DistroKid because they have one great low price of $19.99 a year, and you can release unlimited music. Not like other distributions who you sign up and you have to pay like $40 an album to release. Every year you're charged for each album. This is one low price of $19.99 per year. Unlimited singles, unlimited lyrics. You get a verified check mark. You got royalty splits. You got all this fancy stuff, and it's all for $20. Plus, if you sign up using my code that's over there, right over the other side. See it over there, all by itself in the corner. It's distrokid.com/VIP/Jade. So you'll get 7% off your first year. And that doesn't, not just for the first tier here, which is one musician, one artist. That also applies to this one too, the Musicians Plus, which is $35.99 a year for 2 artists. You get everything in the first tier, plus more. You get synced lyrics with Instagram and daily streaming stats and customizable label names, customizable release dates, customizable pre-order dates, iTunes pricing, and customizable ISRC codes, which are really cool. 2 band names as well, so you get 2 artists, or you could go for what I use, the ultimate, where you get multiple artists. And I think I have 7 artists, and that's $79.99 a year, and you can use my code to sign up for that as well. Anyway, and you can add extra artists to that. Look, at the end of the day, you guys know the deal. I love DistroKid. You should love DistroKid because DistroKid are the best partner you'll ever be with. Anyway, that was weird. So now that we've got my sexual attraction out of the way for DistroKid, we'll talk a little bit more about them later on. Welcome back. Anybody who's new in the chat, Rhett from the Mix Club, hello to you. Leela, who's joined us. If I've missed you, I do apologise. There's Christine Senior, hello to you. I love these shows. I'm really looking for Auntie G finds my idiocy funny. At least somebody does. All right. So I love these shows so very much because I just love seeing other people's creative process. I find it so much more interesting sometimes than listening to their song after it's finished because, you know, I'm a teacher. That's what I do on this channel. I love teaching people things and I love understanding how things are made. I love the nuts and bolts of things. I love learning new things. You know, one of my mottos is if you live a day and you don't learn something, then you haven't lived that day. Even if it was just how to screw on a lid to something, just anything. If you at least learn one thing, you're doing pretty good in life. And today we're going to learn heaps. So I've had Wolfestone Studio on the show before. I've done interviews with them. I've played their music all through this week and played their music on the channel a heap. We love both Ron and Jenny. They're fabulous people. If you haven't seen their interview, it is back on the channel. I suggest you go watch it after this because it's wicked. And thankfully, they've had the guts to come on the show today to talk about their song. So without further ado, let's bring them on. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure I've got all my buttons right over here. Wolfestone Studio, Ron and Jenny, welcome to the show. Hello.
Hello.
You made it.
You made it.
How are things in lovely Florida?
Oh,
Warm.
they're very warm. Don't get us talking about the politics down here, though.
I didn't. I didn't even go there. I didn't even go there. I don't want to talk about. No,
It's traumatizing.
You started it, Jenny. You started it. I'm not even going to say Ron DeSantis' name. No, I know. I said it. I said it. Slap me, Ron. Slap me, please.
I am so upset.
I will.
He's doing crazy things. We won't get into it.
No.
Crazy things this week.
We're here to talk.
We're in the Keys, though. Keys are different. The Conch Republic, all that
That's right.
stuff.
The Keys have tried to succeed a couple of times. Secede.
We're off the grid.
I was saying before the show, now that you're in Florida, I've been scanning the Florida news, waiting for the day I find Florida man found singing in car, and you make the illustrious Florida man news because you haven't become a Floridian until you become Florida man did random thing. You know.
That is true. That is true. We're working on it.
Yes,
we're working on
definitely working on that.
Just don't do anything too outrageous. I don't. Anyway,
everything goes.
Pete Johns has joined us. Good morning, party Pete. Man, I don't know how Pete does it. It's probably what? It's 7:30 where he is, and he's partying. How does he do it? I don't get it.
Wow.
He's always partying, Pete. So it's an amazing thing. All right. So you so graciously have sent me your project to take a look at your song today. Let's get down to the basics, the beginning of how did this song come about? Who wrote what? Lyrics, music. Let's just start at the beginning. What was the idea behind the song when you first started writing it?
Oh, wow. Okay. This is a crazy story. I think it's a crazy story. Do you want to start?
There's a headline to this. The headline is, I threw this song away.
Literally. He literally
really did.
disposed of this song. And I was very angry because I really liked it. He was having trouble with the lyrics and he got very angry that I wanted to keep the song. And I said, well, I'll write the lyrics. And he said, fine, have it. Just take it. Do whatever you want with it. I don't care. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. And so he let me do the lyrics. But the original lyrics, if you want to explain the original lyrics, you had
Well, it's a little more complicated, but I was thinking about that if we were like some famous band or something, you know, like you always hear like the hit, because I guess it's our most popular song. And, you know, you always hear these stories about these bands and the one that makes it really big, that the song, they didn't even like it. They had all these other songs that they were really proud of. And it's that one that, right? Isn't that the truth?
Absolutely. Every single time you can plan the song that you think is going to be the one. And trust me, it's never is.
I know. We talk about that all the time saying, I like this. I like all the songs, but you know, they're like your children, but kind of like, I wonder which one people are going to really like. And like Jen said, we threw that. Well, here's what happened. I worked pretty hard musically on that, and I liked it. I liked how it came out. It had a really different type of sound to it and everything.
You started with the music. You didn't start with lyrics.
Yeah, right. I always do.
Yeah.
I always put the music
Unless
together.
I put an order in. Sometimes I'll put an order in for a song. I'll give a general theme and a musical style, and I'll say, can you please do this? I'll give them a title sometimes.
But I still do the music first.
Yeah, right.
So let me think about this for a second. Okay, yeah. So I had the music down and everything, and then what I do all the time is I use my phone most of the time. I actually record most of the music on the phone. I have an iPad too, but I was so used to doing it on my phone from years ago that it's just easier for me, and I can go anywhere and do it, which is what I do anyway. I don't have like a particular room, as you know. Some I do in the car and all that stuff. But what I usually do for like lyrics, well, lyrics come later, but just I want to see or want to hear what it's going to sound like with gibberish words. It doesn't matter. And I'll just like walk around. I'll just put like, earbuds on and use the microphone that's on the phone. It doesn't really matter. And I'll just start singing different styles. And
the neighbors hardly ever call the police when they see him wandering around like that.
That's a good
not
thing.
A screamer.
Saying gibberish, but because that's Florida. So they figure, okay, this is normal.
And I'll just like keep doing it, and I don't like that, or I kind of like that. And that can take a while. And I just keep doing it. I'll listen to it over and over, and I'll do that. And then I kind of got a cadence down and how I wanted to do it. And then it's okay, now it's time to start writing the words. And on this particular song, I had a theme. I woke up and I had a dream about my son, and that he was having problems. I don't even remember what the problems were, but he was afraid to talk to me about it. And he was making like everything was great. And but I could tell something was wrong. So, and I like to write about relationships, and we can get into that later, but that's what I like to do. And relationships can fill a whole gamut. I mean, a big, huge range. So I started like writing this song and put the lyrics together, and I'm kind of not feeling it. I was just like, now this is ridiculous. I'm trying to work too hard on it and think of things. And
well, what happened is that you had two different halves to the song. So the first half of the song was all about this secret, communication issue with your son. And the second half had absolutely nothing to do with the first half. It was completely disconnected. And I think you were getting.
Well, that's because I got frustrated. I couldn't do anymore. And then I just started writing something else. And then anyway, I was like, where is this song going? And then I started listening to, and I started to put it down, recording it and everything. And I hated the way I sang it. It didn't sound the way when I was just humming along earlier. Anyway, I couldn't stand it anymore. And I just said, that's it. I'm done with this. I'm just putting it in the, the inactive file, the circular bin.
So this is what happens next.
And then this is like a year.
Yeah. Well, one of my jobs is to keep track of all these songs that are half done, quarter done, have started. And I really loved this. I called the song Piano Crazy. That was its working stupid title, just because obviously this song has a lot of piano in it. So it was in a list of about 25 songs that were incomplete, and you were looking for a new song to do. And I said, let me just go through the list. And I said, oh, wait a minute. What happened to Piano Crazy? And he's like, oh, I threw it away. I got rid of that one. I hate that song. I love that song.
Piano Crazy.
Stupid. I make a stupid thing.
A working title.
I love working titles, man. Working titles rock so much.
Piano Crazy. Sometimes I can remember the basic concept of the song. And so we pulled it back out, and he didn't want to do it, and he gave it to me, and I started to write completely different lyrics.
I just said, you want to, I'm done with this. You want to write some lyrics on it, knock yourself out. And so she started working on it. So I went
a totally different direction, and just wanted to write something about basically the idea of someone looking at a person who has an ideal life on Instagram, or, in the news, something like that, where you're seeing someone, you're wondering if that's real, how much is fake. And so sort of this like parasocial relationship where this person's actually trying to get involved with this person, but they don't really know them. So I was kind of going in that direction. And then I got stuck halfway through, and
she just stopped because she has other things to do, like working and stuff, real job. And
so I parked it again. It was halfway done.
So I was like,
later,
and I when I gave it to her, I said, because she does that a lot, and that's fine. And so I was like, you ever going to finish that? yeah, I'll finish it. So it's kind of like, hey, let's just not do this song. Let's just forget about it again. I don't care. She goes, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish it right now.
Yeah, that's me.
She gets on, she finishes this thing. And then the next step of it is that she has to, it's written different from the cadence that I had before. And now she has to teach me how to sing the song.
Yeah. Well, you were trying to sing it like you had written with the previous. It was totally different. So, so I had to sing it to him. I have a terrible voice. I do not sing. And yeah, that was kind of embarrassing, but I'm like, oh, this is how you have to do it. So I had to sing it to him so that he knew how to pace this song. And
did you say you've got a terrible voice?
I do.
Examples, or it didn't happen?
Well, I sound like Minnie Mouse anyway. I've always said I sound like Minnie Mouse, but no, I can't. It's ear splitting. It's ear splitting.
So she put it like in a voice memo type of thing. And then she's like singing it to me a little bit, and I'm trying to do it, and I'm kind of screwing it up and just getting frustrated, and we're having little fights about it. Like I can't work this way. I'm done. I'm leaving the band.
You two are so wild. I
know.
When did I have you on the show last? I forgot how wild you two were on this show. Now that we've started, I feel like I've gone back into a time warp, remembering everything. I remember when I had you on last time, everyone was like, you should give them a show. I'm like, yeah, and here we are again. I'm like, I don't even need to be here. What is going on? You were like, I saw you right in the chat, Ron. I'm really nervous about this before. Look, oh my God.
Right. I always get nervous about everything beforehand, but the medicine is kicked in. I'm good to go.
You're good now.
I'm good to go. So
he sang it. You did sing it. He finally sang it. And then, but we didn't even talk. We'll get into later about the loops and how he created it. And he did use some loops that he then slowed down. He created his own loops. You did lots of different interesting things.
We'll get into
that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the words were really key. I mean, to me, that's like the thing I concentrate on most. The music kind of comes easy. He's kind of, relatively speaking, comes easy. The lyrics, I really try to work really hard on it, which is funny that you're doing this song because it was the least amount of input I've had on the words. Like every other song, I did like,
in the end, he was literally not going to do this. He was going to stop, and I was scrambling, and I had like an hour to finish the lyrics. I only had half the song done. So I went back and took some of his old lyrics and smushed them together with what I was doing, and it changed the meaning of the song again. So now it's sort of a person who is trying to help another person who has sort of a false image of a perfect life. Or you can interpret any way you want, however you want, because I don't know.
People will. But that's the thing. People will anyway. You write all these lyrics and you put them out there, and then somebody says to you, hey, I really love that song. I really love that it's about this. And you just go, what? It's not. How did you get that from that? Like, again, it's like when you pick a song and you're like, hey, this is going to be the one. And it's like, it never is. So
I just remembered something. About the lyrics. The part I didn't bring up before is, so when she didn't finish the lyrics, I said, would you like me explain to me what you're going for and let me see what I could do? Because I want to get this freaking song done already, So I'm like, she's like explaining it. I'm like, okay. So I sit there and I write some lyrics and I finish it up and I go, what do you think? She goes, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
He took a second at it.
I know.
It's a song about depression.
I know.
This is not a song about depression.
I don't know if it's about depression, but
it was depressed.
Anyway, I'm depressed talking about it.
And then I do it again. This was not a typical, like I said, we've never had to do that.
This is not the typical process. Generally speaking, maybe it is. But so I did this. So she takes all the words out again. This is the second time I've written lyrics on it, right?
I threw them away.
This is why I don't work with anybody else, So basically that's when she finished it, and then she put a couple of lines maybe to make me feel better, but it still fit the narrative anyway of the song. And all while I was singing it and doing it, and things started to come along, and I think it came out, pretty good and stuff. But I didn't even want to know what the song meant. I just didn't even care about what it meant anymore until Actually, I started listening to it yesterday again. Because I said, oh, going to be on Jade's show. I better kind of understand what this song is all about.
You understand?
Well, my interpretation's a little different.
Well, I always find it interesting opening up the project. I'll tell you what was the key standout when I first heard it. And I know Russ will say the same thing when we first heard it, because we hang out on this little thing called Clubhouse and we talk a lot of shit on there. But the one thing that stand out to both of us, for example, I know Russ is listening today, but he can't be here because his mum's got the iPad, but he's watching on TV. So it was the bass line. And the bass line kicks you straight in the face. That is the thing that really pulls you in, and it's there all the way through. So I'm going to open the project, and here it is. This is the GarageBand Project. Now, I haven't counted how many tracks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22 tracks. And I can see the bass line here, and I'm just going to hit that and get it playing, because this was the thing that I first grabbed me. Oh, I've got no sound on. That would be smart if I turned up the sound there. Let's bring this back to the start. You see everything. It's that bass. It just sucks you the absolute F in. All right, so let's go. There we go. There's the whole thing. Now it looks like here, you want to walk us through, because it looks like you've got some loops in here. You've got some MIDI tracks that you've played, piano and some honky tonk. We've got an analog sweep in here. There's some violin section. I say, it's so weird. You don't even hear these things. And this is what's interesting. You look at these tracks and you're like, oh my God, there's violins and stuff in there as well. Hello to Kim as well, who's in the chat. And I see Sith is here as well. So, walk us through. What did you kick off with first? What was the first thing you imported in here?
So the process that I do is I'll either get on a keyboard or my acoustic guitar, or I'll just I'll hear something on the radio or just something that inspires me. I'm like, oh, I'd love to do a song in that style. Or I've never done an R&B song. I've never done, a more an indie type of song or something like that. And I'm like, I can do that. So, and it'll just come into my head usually. And on this one, there is a track on there. Yeah, the one in the green there was just, I started putting something down on there, which doesn't sound like much.
It doesn't sound like the song at all, but that's what, when it started.
I started with that. And then what I start doing is, and like I said, I don't have, a bunch of instruments. I don't have really any. This little keyboard I have, which I don't have down here. It's up in Maine. Another story. But so basically what I'll do is I'll start really looking at sound, listening to sounds and things. And, I'll go on some loops and I'll go on some of the apps that, like Riffler, which I did use on some of the guitar. We could talk about that later.
Sure.
But, but the thing that I agree with you, the bass sound, and it's all very straightforward loops. I think I changed it where I did half speed on it. I don't know if I changed the octave or not. I can't remember.
The bass in. No. I mean, in the process, it was pretty early. I think.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it's funny you say that because there are a lot of instruments on it and a lot of the vocals. It's a little deceiving because I just did different sections. So it's not, that many, but that stands out, the bass. And also if you go down to the synth one, I think that also stands out too, right below the vocals. That those two, the bass and that really, I think, make the song. And like you said, there's a lot of instruments in it, but it doesn't sound like there's a ton of instruments in the song. It sounds, so you always say, keep it simple, take some stuff out. And I agree with that. And I have done that, but it just seemed like musically, everything just worked out on that. I like the sounds. You could hear everything and it all blended in together. But with the bass and the synth one, those two really drive it.
Mixing was interesting because we had a lot of active discussion about what to bring up and what to bring back down again.
It's
too.
hard.
But
It's hard to get that down. And I can see here on the bass, I've just opened it up, and it looks like, so you've got it following the tempo and pitch as a loop, and it's set looping, and then you've lowered the speed by half. So you've actually changed the speed to half. So that's,
when you put it up to full speed, it sounds really bizarre. It doesn't sound like the song at all.
Right.
It's actually,
and these are unique tricks that, you know, people should be aware of, that, you know, either to make, you can get it to follow the tempo and pitch, but you can bring down the speed, and it's going to keep that tempo and pitch, because Apple loops are so clever the way they're made that they're able to do that. And you can fuck with the pitch, make it a little bit different, and it stays all in time. So that's how we get this. And I think I can mess with it. Let's bring.
Yeah, you can turn it up, and you have this.
Sounds terrible when it's faster.
Yeah, it sounds really weird. It's like what a strange loop to have in there. So I think you're talking about this funky synth here. That's what you kick off with. And you've got no effects on this, so we've just got pretty much a compressor, the effect EQ that does nothing. You've got some visual EQ. You've lifted up the treble a little bit, so there's hardly anything in there. Let's have a look at that bass, because what have you got on the bass? You've got, again, a compressor, and you've got wider, just to give it a bit of width.
Yeah.
Let's show you what that does, folks. So we're at 39%. So if you've got headphones, you should hear that bass now spread. Wider is really cool. It just gives a bit of space, just spreads it out a little bit across the mix.
As with all the apps and the effects, though, you got to really, you know, pay attention, and you don't want to go full board with it. It's like, you know, just you use your ears, you know, I always want something that sounds tasteful and natural and organic, you know, and that's why on a lot of these things, I do usually, when I use loops, I sometimes change them. I'll cut them up and put them, you know, together in a different arrangement, or I'll put more effects, or I'll change all kinds of different things with it. But everything just seemed to work on it. And I'm like, because what I do lots of times is I'll put of these loops, and I go, I like this sound, I like that sound, and then I go, yeah, this is pretty good. Now I'm going to start working and kind of play some of this stuff, you know, and, you know, do some of my own things and everything. But on this one, I was like, I really like this sound, and I can't create. This is why I love GarageBand, and, you know, I guess the other DAWs as well, is because, you know, like
Mark plays guitar, right? He plays keyboard. He can play harmonica. He can pick up almost anything and play it, except most wind instruments. He can't play wind instruments. But, you know, he hasn't had a band since college, and he wanted to be able to create what was in his head. And GarageBand was really the first time he was able to do that. And so he started doing that, in 2016?
Yeah,
and,
it was like a miracle.
And of course, thank you, Pete. Pete was the person who, right? I mean, it always comes back to Pete Johns. Everything comes back to Pete Johns. It's like this.
Well, early on, especially early on, nobody was doing anything on YouTube, and I had a question about something. I can't remember what it was. A bunch of questions.
He's like, you've got to watch this guy. You've got to watch this guy, Pete. He's amazing.
Absolutely. Pete's always got great advice.
It's full of fucking swearing.
Always got good advice, Pete, just like that advice there. He's going to kill
But it was
me.
cool because you would pay attention. I mean, he probably had, 200 subscribers back then when he first started.
And you could ask Pete personal questions.
I know. It's like he answered me. Oh my God, this is great. This is how you do it. Okay, cool. What was I going to say about the, on the loop part. So on the bass, especially, I love bass. I do. And actually, if I had a bass, which I don't, I think I could play it to do some things. But when you're using like the virtual instruments,
bass in college, that was his first instrument besides piano. So he did play bass,
but not that great, trust me. But what I'm saying is that I love the loops that, it has that great sound. Like when you use the virtual instruments on GarageBand, that you never can get the bass to sound like that. I can. It always just sounds like you're playing a keyboard that has a bass in it. To me, anyway, you can't get that. I don't know. can't even describe it, but that bass sound.
Yeah, it sounds like MIDI, and you know, when things sound like MIDI, they sound like shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of like, I like this. I couldn't do this any other way. And this is why I like doing collaborations now, because I can get other people to do things that I can't really do with guitar. I'm actually looking for some bass players actually to help out with things. But anyway, like I said, it just felt right. I liked it. And when I make music, I do it for my enjoyment anyway, more than anything. I mean, that's like it's a thrill when you can put something on. It sounds like you're in a recording studio. That was always my dream, just to like see if I could put music together that kind of sounded like an album or something, you know, as opposed to not. And it was like, oh my God, this sounds kind of professional, you know?
Yeah, Loops opened up the whole new world.
The whole GarageBand thing, you know? And I'm not saying GarageBand's the best thing. It's just, it's what I started with. And I guess I'm getting old, but I have a hard time trying other things because I'm still learning this thing. So
absolutely, there's totally a skill to using loops. All right, I think back to when I was younger and I was a full on metalhead and I hated anything that wasn't metal. You know, and you grow out of that. Well, hopefully you do. Some people I know haven't, and they're still stuck in that mindset. And you listen to other music and you appreciate other music for what it is. You may not necessarily like it, but with loops, I remember back, if I was 16, I would, and with GarageBand now, I'd probably see loops and go, it's cheating, right? But now that I'm a lot wiser, and I hope a lot of other people are, there's an art to using loops cleverly. And there are people out there who have no idea how to use loops and they just pile them on top of each other, or they just do one after another and then they release it online, not realizing that creates massive problems for other artists, because you release a song and you've got that loop in there because somebody else has just done a song with one loop after another. Your song now gets copyright claims because they haven't used loops correctly. So there's definitely a way to use loops that make it sound well constructed. And here's the thing. Now, I don't know if I think you were a little bit nervous about coming on because you've got loops in your song and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I would put my life on this. I bet everybody who heard all your stuff had no idea there are any loops in this at all. That's the thing. That's what, and I'll tell you what, even when people do, this is the thing. There's nobody on this planet who would have heard one of your songs and then now watch this and gone, it's got loops on it. I don't like that song anymore. Like nobody, no rational human being thinks like that. And nobody will hear a song and go, that's got loops, I'm not going to get into. And if you do, you're insane. You need help. You need to.
This is an argument that we actually have because yes, he was absolutely nervous. He said, he doesn't use loops all the time, but he does use them very heavily. And he said, I feel like, I don't feel like I'm a real musician that way. And I said, no, this is actually another instrument to me. Using loops is, like
absolutely.
You said, Jade, it's an art itself. It's an art form itself. I can't do it. I jump in and help afterwards. He's the artist with this, and he doesn't give himself enough credit for it, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So you said,
how I look at it.
Yeah.
I look at it this way, is that when I was in college and we had this band, and that's a long story, and I probably told it on the last interview that we did, but I worked with like this one musician who was really a genius at keyboards, and we got into really a sync. And I basically would come in and I'd have, I'd play something on the keyboard or I'd even hum something or whatnot. I just had some sort of a knack of like writing songs that was in my head and I could get it out, and he understood it and he was able to put it down. And then all of a sudden we put a song together. It was great dealing with musicians. And of course we had some musicians in our band who are horrible as well, like someone who could only play like, country western. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it didn't go with, prog rock or, 80s or new wave or whatever. But you could like make it work. Now, I don't have a band, and I look at it like the GarageBand tools or, any loops or whatnot. I feel like they're my band members. I have this song and then I start going in and I go, hey, yeah, you got that bass, Yeah, let me hear that one. I like that one. Let's use that. Plug that in, you know? And I look at it that way. I do. And I was hesitant about coming on, but because of the loop thing. But then I had a change of heart because I feel like maybe some people in the community, maybe they don't have any instruments, or maybe, you know, they play, maybe they don't play, you know, but they love listening to music. They feel like maybe they can create something. And, or people outside the community who are watching, if like a couple of people like take what we do and say, you know, I could do that. And you can, you know, I mean, I think I do a pretty good job on those.
There are so many loops. You can do so much with them. You can pull them apart. You can deconstruct them. You can speed them up, slow them down.
Which we do.
Yeah. You know, and that's why he does let me go through them with him at times. And I'll be no, yes.
So I'm introducing you to my band out there, the bass player, the synth player, you know, that type of thing. And having some of those apps that, you know, you talk about, and, you know, like Riffler, for instance, it's amazing. I mean, I could never play like that, but I could sit there and create something that I like and then stick that into the thing. So I feel like it's my little band.
Absolutely. And, you know, with loops, I've got loops on my Dread Circus album that's coming out. There's a whole bunch of them. And I think a lot of people would be really surprised just how many songs that you hear, say, on Pete Johns' YML or Thomas Cry Show or Hippie Show. You'd be really surprised how many artists that you love from this YouTuber sphere of artists use loops. It would shock the absolute crap out of you. And it shouldn't, because they're amazing. I'm going to jump over here to this, because you mentioned this before, this piano track here that you started with. Let me crank it up a bit. So this was the basis pretty much. I'm going to give it some volume. I'm going to bring in these other ones. Now listen to that. That, I'm sure you're going to explain to me. When you bring all four of these pianos in, it sounds magic. From this one piano. So I'm curious to know these other piano tracks. So I can see this is a MIDI file. Obviously, when I open it up and edit it, there's MIDI. There's all the notes played in there. What are these ones here? Were these because they don't look like loops. They're called Piano 1, Piano 2, Piano 3, Piano 4. Were these played and then you merged
Those are
them?
loops that I found parts of some loops in there that I actually did piece together and then put them together. Like if you play like the top two pianos, they're very similar, but they're changed a little bit. And I have one that I pan left, one pan right. Not that I know what I'm doing when it comes to panning, because I don't. It's just I listen to it and I go, this kind of sounds cool. But it's a little bit different. Sounds the same, but there's a little bit. It gives it a little, I don't know, a little pop, I guess.
Yeah, I can see how they're panned. So they're not panned all the way. We've got a little pan there. This one's a little pan to the left. If we listen to them separately.
And it's what's cool, it has a little bit of a jazzy tone to it. And I remember playing it, I think I put the song out and Pete played it on his show. And he said something like he liked the way the piano, I can't remember how he described it, some musical term, I don't remember, but it sounded like opposite to what the song was like. It was going against the grain or something. I can't remember the term. I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't plan it out that way, but you know, it turned out pretty good, that piano thing.
I'm going to bring
there's a few different.
I'm going to bring in the other keys here, because you've got a honky tonk in here as well. I'm just going to solo these three together when they all come in. So we've got an analog sweep. Let's take that out. Then we've got this honky tonk. Again, this honky tonk is panned to the right. And then we've got this analog sweep. which is dead in the center, bringing everything together. Let's bring all those pianos in. We'll go back. And now we'll bring in that opening synth you had, which is that, if you know this song, as soon as this is the opening thing, this is what you hear, you know it's this song. And we'll bring in that bass. So what I see here as well, too, if we scroll through the synth one, you've got no plugins or anything. You're just using stock standard stuff here. So you've got a compressor, EQ on these, nothing. You've got
fancy.
You've got magic dice on this piano.
Yeah.
Wow, I wouldn't have picked
Forgot about that.
I wouldn't have picked that in here. So magic dice, if you don't know, guys, is like it's like a random reverb thing, isn't it? I should know. I did a show on it.
No, the magic dice is almost like a chorus
it's
type
the random,
of thing.
Yeah, it's the random chorus. Yeah. So
feel free to move it over if you want and see it changes it changes it up a little bit.
I don't want to do that because I'll never get it back.
That's true. Well, I have a copy, so don't worry.
Trust me, I did make a copy of this before I loaded it up, so I still have the original. Hey, Metalhead Hippie as well, who's joined the chat.
Stunning.
Oops.
Stunning.
Wrong button.
Boom.
Actually, I'm wrong. You're right. The magic dice is a reverb thing. There was another magic thing that I used too. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's two of them that are dice.
Yeah, there's two. No, that one has interesting. It's like a reverb on steroids.
Yeah, and you never know what you're going to get with it. It's
you never know what you're going to get. As a matter of fact, each one is different, and it's like a snowflake, you know. And I always wonder. It's like I want to try them. I said I can't get back to the one that I liked in the first place.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can.
That's what sucks. I think. Can you save presets? I think you can save a preset in GarageBand. Could I save this? Let's see. Save? No, it doesn't let me save it. Sounds? No, it's not letting me save it. Have I frozen? Have I ruined this project? It looks like oh no, I can actually. So let's put MD1.
Hey, while you're doing that, sounds crazy. Jen, could you run an errand? I forgot to plug my computer in, and it's going to run out of battery. Right. It's where you always have it.
Life with ADHD.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
sorry.
So we've got that on there. Let's go on the honky tonk. It looks like we've got you've just got garage. So you've got a lot of garage, but you've got a distortion. I think that's built into the honky tonk sound. Yeah. The analog sweep doesn't have anything except an EQ. And again, it's just very simple EQ. For those of you watching at home, this is what EQ's about. See how it's nothing. It's barely lifted up, you know, but EQ, when you see people's EQs that are like this, and you're like, what the hell are you doing with your song? Like, what is going on? Man, EQ needs to be very subtle, unless you're going for a very distinct kind of sound. Let me bring that back over here and get that close to where it was. There we go. So you've got very little EQ in there. That's really nice. We can jump out of that now. I'm going to jump over to these strings because they're interesting me because I had no idea there were strings in here. Let's grab this and have a play while you're plugging in your computer.
Yes. There we go. I'm glad you're playing that. Can I say something real quick about
Absolutely.
that? Absolutely.
Yes.
So if you the one above the strings, whatever that is,
the sweep
above, yes. One of the, you know, you get like little, if you like really pick apart your songs and there's like some little thing that nobody would notice, but you kind of get a kick out of it.
Yep.
I have that in there where coming up right there, it goes from the synth thing there to the strings, and it overlaps on each other on it. And in the song, I can hear it and I like it. It goes from that airy thing and then the strings come in on it and I'm like, ooh, I like that. That's just a little thing. I don't know.
I get that.
Yeah, I can hear that. Let's put it there. So you'll hear these cross over. Now, like hearing it like that, you go, hang on a minute. There's like a little notch at the end there. There's a little, you can hear with the loops.
Actually, go back to the other. Back
here?
a little
All
bit.
right,
To
yeah,
there. Yeah, that's where I had it. So starts with there, then it comes in, and then it just
beautiful
morphs into the strings.
And when you hear it all together, let's hear all that together.
Somewhere must be places
very smooth. So I'm guessing 2 down here. So how did these strings come about?
And I had to turn that way up. He had it down so low. And I'm like, I can hear it. I want that up. That's good. That's good. But
yeah,
how did you?
I don't know.
I just like you created.
I just was looking at all the different string things, and I just played it.
So again, you've got these strings at half speed as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hear those.
We'll be fine, fine, fine.
Let's go back. This is what they originally sound like. That's so well done that you've messed with those speeds. Very clever stuff.
Lots of times I change octaves or semitones as well, and it makes a huge difference, and sometimes it works.
I'm going to jump over to these guitars down here, and then we'll have a talk about the guitars for a bit. Then I've got to do we're going to talk about a sponsor in a second. So there's 3 guitars here. You've got a flange guitar, a guitar, and a guitar. Let's just give them a quick play together.
Pretty subtle.
Absolutely. Was it that second track in reverse? Sounded like
I don't remember.
Oh, let me hear that again.
Actually, I think it is.
No, it's not selected as reverse. It
It's
just
not,
sounds like
okay.
it. For some reason, it sounds like it's in reverse. But again, really subtle. What I love here about these guitars, these 2 above here, they're both, very subtle. And then you've got that nice little interjection there. Alone, it sounds like, it sounds odd because it comes in quite loud.
Right.
But when you hear it as a song, you watch how it changes the dynamic.
I can't be done alone. I'll take you there.
That small part has just come in there and taken that chorus. And, this is what I love about these small little parts that you can add into songs like this. It sounds like the chorus, it's changed. It's become a completely new riff, but you're still playing the same thing there. Like you can still see these are the same things, but that little lick has just come in and it almost sounds like to the untrained musician, they'd sit there and go, oh, that's a change. That's something different that has happened that keeps people interested,
I think that particular one, I think I did a riffler on that particular one, and it was like something I think I saved and I didn't know where I was going to use it. And I wasn't even thinking of using it in the song. And
Right.
so I ended up putting it in, and wasn't sure whether I liked it or not. And I kind of played around with it. I don't know exactly what I did with it, but I think it was like in the mixing or something. And I said, this kind of like, it kind of fits. It's like a transition, and it's totally different than everything else in the song. But I kind of liked it. It grew on me.
Yeah, I think that what really makes this song really shine with all the parts. I mean, as I said, the bass kicks in. That stands out. That opening lick, that helps you know that this is I'll Take You There. You know it straight away. But again, with all these loops that you do have in here, let's scroll. There's a whole lot of loops. We haven't even got to vocals yet. They're all so subtle. And I think a lot of people forget that and it's what you do really well with your music is subtlety. You can have a huge amount of tracks in a project and they can all be down really low. Pete does it as well, really well too. He has all these tracks and he'll have these huge amount of backup vocals, but they're all like down to virtually zero. And I always think, dude, turn them up. But if you do turn them up, you just crowd the space.
Yep.
So we've got guitars. We've talked about the strings briefly. I'm going to scroll up to the top because I've failed to even talk about this singular track here. The hi-hats. And you know what? This is a lesson for everybody. You don't need to overcomplicate hi-hats. You don't need to try and prove if you're not a drummer and you're putting MIDI drums in or anything like this, you don't need to put fancy splashes and stuff and think that you're the best drummer in the fucking world. The simple hi-hats convey a very simple message because let's bring in these beats here.
What's interesting about the drums is normally I use the GarageBand the drummer thing where it has all the different names and different styles, and you can really create and do a lot with that. And then each you can just make a lot of changes on it, take part of the drums away, put them in. Breaks can be different, fills and all that type of stuff. But on this one, like I said, when I put it together, I was just like putting everything straight forward. This drum beat sounds pretty good on this. And then I added that, but I planned on doing something else with it. And then I just said, this actually sounds pretty good. Like I can't imagine it not being there. And I just left it alone with just the straight drum beats without any fills or any.
Keeping it simple in a complex song.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It kind of just worked on that. And it was great because it was like less work for me to, when you get into the drummer things, that can be a lot of work.
It is
in there.
Yeah. It is. And you've got, so there's a third beat track in here as well. I'm just going to play that by itself. And it's just claps. Which again, really subtle stuff, but really, gives that hi-hat, that snare, a crack and makes it shine through. Let's hear the whole song together. So I'll play it without the claps, and you'll definitely hear just how much brighter and how much it cuts through just for this simple little clapping track. No claps. Claps on.
You run around and go, but can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead. I need time to mend. I can't be done alone. I'll take you there.
And what you've done there is you've removed these claps for the verses. Very, very smart thinking, and hopefully people are paying attention to things like this. It's a very important thing for writing, especially pop music, commercial music, is in the verses to take away and give the song space. Let the vocal cut through, pull everything out, or else you'll get to the chorus and you've got nowhere to go. You're already at your peak. Is that what the thinking was behind that?
Yeah. And Jenny, on the drums, it has to be mixed properly too. And I think that is, and Jenny does most of that. I do a preliminary one, and which I think is, this is a final. And then she takes it and it's like, she knows how to just get it just to be just right, because if the clapping is too loud or if it's not loud enough, and and when you're listening to a song and working on it for so long, it starts to all run together, and it's like you don't even know what you're doing anymore. So that's why having fresh ears and just to hear that is a really good thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but
absolutely. Absolutely, because I had the pleasure of working on this album with both of you. I mastered this album. So, and there were songs that you sent through to me, which I actually sent back to you and said, you probably have to pull down this a little bit. And, because I know in the mastering phase, like at this point, it may sound okay, but I know in the mastering phase, and, mastering is an art still, that I know certain things will come up, and because that other part is already quite loud, that's going to come up as well. Even though certain bits won't come up, say the guitar might come up in the mastering, but that other bit that's already loud, that's going to go up as well, and it's going to stick out like dog's balls. We'll do a mix down of this towards the end, and we'll do a master of it to show the difference of how we are here in GarageBand to go through the mastering process, kind of what I do in the Patreon. We'll show that here as well. But first, what I need to do is we're at our halfway mark on the show. Everybody, thanks for being here today. So I want to thank you all for being here with us today. But it's now time for us to give a little bit of love to DistroKid. Oh, yeah. I'll keep you guys here on the screen with me. So I wouldn't be able to do this amazing show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid, who I love very, very much. And if you sign up with DistroKid and use my code distrokid.com/VIP/Jade Starr, you'll get 7% off your first year. And I'm going to show you one of the cool things you can do with DistroKid. This is called the Wheel of Playlist. And let's do a few of these. I love doing a few of these. This is part of your DistroKid account. To find Wheel of Playlist, you just need to click on here. You just need to go to Get Heard Now, and you've got these options, and one of them is Wheel of Playlist. And you get to do this once a day, right? Once a day. So all your songs are here. And what this does, because getting on Spotify playlists is really hard, yeah? And it helps to get on Spotify playlists because people get heard. And DistroKid have a huge playlist that you can get a part on. So all you need to do is click on this, and all your songs will be available for you. And let's pick some FMC songs, shall we? We'll pick Community Colostomy, Placenta, Pancakes and Puke. And all you need to do is select your song, and then you click your wheel. I think it's connected. Do we do it there? There we do it. Oh, it's what? I don't need to do that. Where am I going? Oh, it's going well, Jade. I'm already connected. So do I click here? I haven't done this for a while. Where's my wheel? I think I have to connect to Spotify. That sucks. Let me do that. Let me go off screen and do that. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm so organized. I'm so organized, aren't I? I have to connect through there. Let's do that. No, we need to go through here. Oh, God, I'm good at this stuff. Connect.
No pressure, Jade.
No, I
pressure.
know. Oh, man, it's not letting me connect to my thing. Let's try.
Keep this up any longer, I'm going to start singing,
Man.
and then everyone is going to leave.
Ridiculous. All right, there we go. That'll log me in. Enter passcode. Continue. Done. Log me in. Let's go. All right, we're logging in. Apparently, I'm logging in. Spotify, log me in. This is Spotify I'm waiting for now. This is ridiculous. Oh, man. Here we go. Logged in. Let's go back to DistroKid. Oh, are you kidding me? Are you seriously kidding me? We send you a notification to my phone.
No.
I love live television, don't you?
Yes.
It's fantastic. It's great stuff. Where's my code? I haven't received a code. There it is. No, that's not it. Yes. Here we go. Log in.
I'm telling you, we're going to start talking about Ron's gerbil races when he used to do local network news.
Just go for it. All right. It says I have to. Didn't receive a code. I didn't receive a code. Text me a login code. Man, this is ridiculous. I can't even get a login code.
In the meantime, let's talk about how great DistroKid is. Ron, want to talk about DistroKid?
Let's do this. I think
I love DistroKid.
Actually, seriously love DistroKid.
What did you find about, because this is your first album that you've released, and you used DistroKid. What was it that was easy about using DistroKid? What was it?
You said it was user friendly, which is key to me, because if I see something and I don't think I'm going to be able to get it, I just leave and never come back, and I try something else. And that's how I am. Some of the apps, I get on that and it's not working for me. Move along. But on DistroKid, I could not believe how easy it was. It was like putting song after song on there. It was just loading right through. Everything was easy. All the text that you need to put in. I was like, Jen, I can't believe this. We're putting this album together. It's insane that you can do this.
He was actually really nervous until he started doing it. And he's like, oh my God, this is really easy. I can't believe this is so easy. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is everywhere. Incredible.
Sorry. I'm sitting here just going.
Not sponsored by Spotify.
Not sponsored by Spotify. Spotify can't get effed, really. It's telling me I don't have a Spotify account. Did I lose my Spotify account? Anyway, the wheel.
You're insulting them.
The wheel is awesome when I can get my Spotify account to actually connect. The stupid thing, see, don't do this. This is the problem. I connected my Spotify account through Facebook. This is the problem. So I'm using Facebook as my login, and it's not letting me connect through my iPad at the moment. So trust me, it does work. But your review is glowing enough, because it is really easy to put together to upload your album. And I know you had trouble uploading your album to like Bandcamp. That was way more of a struggle than DistroKid.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, much more complicated.
I couldn't believe how much different it was.
Yeah.
And how it just, and it actually, they say, it might take a week or two for the songs to start going on the different platforms, but it went out there really quickly.
In a couple days. It was really, maybe even a day, I think. Some of them, it was fast.
I just couldn't believe it. And we had 19 songs, as you well know.
Yeah. A big job to upload 19 songs. And yeah, I know myself uploading a lot of songs for metal albums. It just is a breeze to put it through. So we'll move on. We'll come back to the song, and it's not distro. Let me just state, this isn't a DistroKid problem. This is my Spotify account. This is what happens when you stupidly use Facebook to log into things. Don't do it, folks. Facebook is for boomers, and it's a terrible platform. And now they're going to charge you here in Australia $27 to get a check mark next to your name. Unbelievable. So don't use Facebook. Don't use Facebook. It is what it is.
Facebook listens to you. They listen to you. They do. Ads pop. Anyway, I won't get into that.
So here we are. For some reason, and you know why it's not working too? It's asking for third-party authentication, and that's why I can't get through at the moment. So That's what it is. I hate Facebook too. I hate Facebook as well, Tremor Bear. And, you know, let's hope it dies. There you go. There's my spray for the day. Let's talk about some vocals here on your track. Let's get to the fun bit. And first, what I'm going to do is we'll go over here and we'll play this short video. And and we'll come back shortly. So, folks, enjoy this.
This is a portable studio.
Enjoy this video.
At Wolfestone Studio. We wanted to show you one of the many mobile studios. We are in Wells, Maine, southern Maine today.
Beautiful
we
Maine.
also record in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at times, and also in the Florida Keys.
Right, we're at the mobile studio here. We can go anywhere we want, but we're here right now. And I'm excited because we're going to be doing a brand new song. Just finished the lyrics. I'm talking moments ago. I ran into the mobile location over here and put the setup together, which I'll show you in a second how that works, and we're ready to go.
So what do we have here for a setup, Ron?
Okay, nothing fancy, but we have a new condenser microphone, which was suggested by Pete Johns from Your Studio Live, and have it hooked up with the cord, you know, and
Hanging from the visor in the car.
that's right, you know, ingenuity, right?
Absolutely.
Next thing we have is the cord attaches to this iRig over here, and then this cord here attaches to the iPhone or the iPad, whatever you have to work that, and then you could work all your volume and gain and all that type of stuff on here. And then you just put the headphones on and ready to rock and roll.
And you can hear we have a little background
Okay,
noise.
I can't hear you.
Yes, we have a bit of background noise, and that's one of the challenges of the mobile studio, but
That's why we shut the windows.
we shut the windows,
Right.
and sometimes we have a couple of takes.
Exactly.
Usually the neighbors are
once
quiet.
again, we're doing a song which was written by Tremor Bear, and I'm real excited about this. Like I said, we just finished this one, ran into here, and I think we're ready to rock and roll.
Let's do this.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Slept all day and still feeling tired. Then another evening with the TV on. Stare out the window, close your eyes. It's hard when you're healing from a broken heart. Don't believe the things you tell yourself. Sadness comes stinking, you will fall apart. Time to get up from the inside. Feel the sunshine on the outside. Leave the pain all behind, cross the line. Start to feel life on the other side.
Boom. So the question is, did you record the vocals for this particular song in the car?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Let's hear those now. Good times. Isolated
Oh, you're
vocals.
talking about this song.
This song.
Okay.
No, this song.
This song. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think I did.
What?
Of it in the living room.
No, I did it all in the car. I
Wolfestone
did.
Studio was actually our basement. That was the joke. The name was a joke of the band. We had to come up with a name. And so we have this old half dirt and ancient stone wall basement. And that's where he used to record initially. And then we graduated to the car when we moved out of that.
So they've got, looks like here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vocal tracks with vocals spread out across all of them with different levels. Right, let's hear some isolated vocals. I know this is a vocalist nightmare come to life right now. Let's give it a play.
You see everything I want to see. You are everywhere I want to be. Want to need, going down, down, down. Oh.
Very clear takes.
See, that wasn't painful.
You say everything I want to say. You go anywhere you want today. Want to play, going down, down, down. Uh-oh. From the outside looking in, shiny, beautiful, you win. You run around and go, but can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead, you need time to mend. I can't be done alone, I'll take you there.
Wow. There's some really nice harmonies in there. Wow, what clean takes you've got there. Very clean takes. We were debating on in Clubhouse if you actually used auto-tune or not, and you don't.
No, he never uses auto-tune. Yeah.
It's always interesting, you know, because you can't tell these days with a lot of, if you're using it subtly as well, it's really handy to you. So that's impressive. So let's have a look at what you've got running for effects on here. Looks like you've got a 0 chorus. This is a free app, isn't it? This thing's pretty damn cool from Blamsoft. So you've got a chorus on there, external. You've got Magic Dice running on here as well. That's where that wonderful reverb is coming from. You've got a stereo delay in here. Let's turn all these off. You've got a tape delay. The Magic Dice is actually off. Let's hear this without.
You see everything you want.
Now we're dry.
You are everywhere I want to be. Want to need, going down, down, down. Uh-oh. You.
There's a reason I'm doing this, because I see it all the time. I see people talking about, how do I cut my breaths out? How do I cut my lips smacking out? How do I do this shit? Don't fucking cut it out. Leave it in there. Unless you're doing this and licking the friggin' microphone, don't cut it out, because if you start cutting out the breaths and your lips connecting and stuff like that, you're not human anymore. Like, you're dehumanizing yourself. You may as well just stick a fuckload of auto-tune on there, because you are sounding like a friggin' robot if you're taking out all your breaths and your lips touching. You need to connect with people with music. And, you know, if the breath's gone, how you expect anybody to connect with your lyrics? Yeah, exactly, Kim. Unless you're licking the microphone, sticking it up your nose, you've got bigger problems than breaths in between your song if you're licking it. So yeah, what's your take on the breaths? And I saw you cringing when we're listening to that.
Who doesn't, right?
Absolutely.
Well, he was actually saying this last night. He's like, probably going to isolate my vocals. This is my worst nightmare. I feel so naked. I feel like I'm exposed to the world. I said, you're going to be fine.
Well, that's the thing with vocals. It's the most like personal thing. You put yourself out there. It's just you. You know, it's not like you're playing guitar. Not that that's not a personal thing, but it's just you out there, and the whole world. Like, you know. Not the whole world, but people who are listening, it's like they're just hearing you, you know? And I've never really liked my voice very much, but I've learned to embrace it because I know it's different, and I just go with it then. And that's actually, I've broken down and listened to solos of my other songs on vocals, and that's one of the better ones, I think.
And you don't like to take the breath. We talked about that, whether you take a breath out and you don't. Basically.
Using a good microphone helps too. And what you saw behind the scenes thing, that was a brand new mic that I had. And lots of times before, I was recording it right into the phone.
Actually, almost all of the early
phones
were not, they were just going straight into an iPhone.
Yeah.
An iPhone 6.
Yeah.
Kind of terrifying. No microphone at all. But yeah, in terms of editing, I don't think you've ever taken a breath out of.
No, I have done that, and it's I have done that before. And what I've noticed that you were mentioning, Jade, is that it almost sounds weird. I mean, sometimes I'll definitely cut out like little crackles in between when there's some time, and I think that's appropriate to do and
for sure.
And good. But when you
because your mic cord used to crackle because.
Right.
Wait,
Yeah. Way
So-
back. But on like you said, when you cut out the breath, you almost can hear that you're cutting it out if you listen closely. It sounds weird almost by not having that in there.
I had a dog barking once.
And Dan Ekberg makes a good point here. Hi, Dan, as well. Yeah, but if you have a bunch of stacked vocals, it can get muddy with all the breaths. Absolutely, but that also depends on how well you are layering your vocals. If you're keeping them all up at the same level, I mean, if you watch Pete do I touched on this before with the way Pete layers vocals, he really drops his harmonies down very, very, very low. Right, so then harmonies aren't meant to be up with the main vocal, and so they overpower. They're meant to be subtle to give the song that little bit of kick. You don't want it to kick too hard, or you're getting kicked in the head by a horse, and that's ridiculous. So it's those little. So you're gonna, and that can be fixed too if you've got muddiness with breath with EQ as well. And then there may be a case for it if you're getting a lot of breaths all breathing together or slightly out, then maybe on those backing tracks there's a case for removing those breaths. But as I said, with these takes, I'm going to bring the effects back in. So what do we have? We had the echo, which I put back, and the reverb back. Let's go into the plugins here. And we had a 0 chorus, stereo delay. Let's just play this again and we'll add these in and see the difference.
You see everything you want to see.
So we're going to
You
take...
are everywhere I want to be. Want to need, going down, down, down. Uh-oh. You say everyone.
Let's get to this chorus
going down, down, down.
and talk about these harmonies, because they're wicked.
From the outside looking in, shiny, beautiful, you win. You run around.
It's interesting listening.
That's my favorite part.
Shiny,
Yeah.
beautiful,
I mean-
you win.
Oh God, hearing your harmonies is the worst.
It is the worst, isn't it? It is
the
absolutely
worst.
the dog's balls.
Shiny, beautiful, you win.
But when you hear it with that main track, it's poetry.
From the outside looking in, shiny, beautiful, you win. You run around.
I think that's the other thing too. I think people get really hung up on harmonies trying to be perfect, trying to nail the note exactly, because they're so low underneath. That's where the magic comes in with recording vocals and even guitars. Sometimes you will play a part, you'll do a part together, or you're double tracking vocals, and it's the fact that they're not exactly the same and there's inconsistencies that creates magic. Yeah.
Agreed.
It's funny when I like doing harmonies. And
For you.
it's hard, but
yeah.
it's not too bad. It's weird because when you're doing your own harmonies, it kind of works for me. I like it because I think my voice, well, I can go up, and it just feels like it's organic and it's natural. And maybe some other vocal wouldn't really work on the harmony. I'm not sure. I've never done it that way. So it works for me. But what was I going to say about the harmonies that I find interesting? When I'm actually recording my little processes that I've noticed, when I do the harmonies, I have to lower the main voice because when I don't, I never get the harmony right. I think I'm listening to it too much or something, and it's always going, totally off key or something like that. So I have to lower the lead vocal and then get the harmony. And that's my little tip for me, works for me.
Yeah. Let's bring this back over to the project here and go back to these vocals. Where was I? Let's hear the verse.
But can't get anywhere.
Oh, sorry, the rest of the chorus.
Slow down, move ahead. You need time to mend. I can't be done alone. I'll take you there.
I love that last one because it's different. And it's like that little guitar lick that you put in the chorus there. And when you scroll down to that guitar lick, that change, this little vocal take right here, leads into that guitar lick. As you can see, let's bring in that guitar lick. And you'll see what I mean here.
I'll take you there.
And there it is. That slight change of harmony.
But can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead. You need time to mend. I can't be done alone. I'll take you there. Thought you grabbed and missed. Touch the sky, it's in your reach. You run around and go, but can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead. You need time to mend. I can't be done alone. I'll take you there.
You know what I find challenging, Jade, on vocals and doing all those different tracks is that, so, you know, you're doing one section and then I'm ready for the next or the chorus or, you know, whatever. And when I do it, and sometimes I do it like 10 minutes later or some, you know, maybe at a different time, or even if it's not, even if it's 30 seconds later, if I'm not exactly in the same thing, the volume is different. It has a different little sound to it. And that's really challenging, you know, and I don't really know how to fix that, but you have to work really hard to mix it so it all sounds like it just flows a little bit. But that's a challenge that I always have. It takes up a lot of my time to do that.
It's hard. Mixing's hard. You know, it's because it's, I think, you know, there's so many experts out there who talk about mixing and how to mix and do this thing. And I think Pete always sums it up perfectly. I try and say the same thing. Does it sound good? Does it sound good to you? That it's you can talk about hurts and muddiness in the low end and all this kind of stuff. And Russ has talked about it here on the show too. Russ doesn't do a real lot of EQ. What he does do, it's very minimal, and it's only if something stands out and seems like it needs some EQ. I think that we fall into a trap with mixing sometimes where it's like, all right, we're up to the mixing part. Now we have to go through every track and EQ every track because that's what everybody says. No, if something stands out that sounds shit and there's a bit of mud there, isolate that track, find what it is, and take the mud out of that, and everything will come together. Don't overthink it. That's when you start overthinking it, that's when you get stuck.
That's actually where we start to get into issues.
Right. Oh, do tell.
That's where I do a lot of the mixing, and you've listened to it so many times that you're not hearing what I'm hearing. So I've heard different incarnations, and I know which particular tracks to me define the song, and I want to make sure that those are brought up enough. And sometimes we get into a little argument about that, but in the end, you listen to me and then you say I'm right. That's how this works. I
don't know why I argue too. I don't understand why I even do that.
You won't win.
It's like, don't tell me. Tell me anything.
But literally 100% of the time, you come around and go, oh, yeah.
99%. 99%.
Well, see, we're listening to these tracks solo at the moment too. And another trap people fall into is listening to solo tracks and trying to EQ tracks while they're soloed. Folks, if you're doing that, I'm going to tell you right now, you're doing it wrong. EQing and mixing is about mixing these things in all together so you can hear everything. You can spend, I mean, I used to do it too when I first started out. I've got a solo vocal track. I've spent all this time EQing it, going, that sounds really cool. Bring it back into the song. It sounds like shit. It sounds terrible because the sonics are all completely different than what I've just been listening to. Do you guys mix on headphones or on monitors? That's a question.
So we did mix on monitors, and we have to get back to that because we've moved a couple of times, and so now we're trying to do it on headphones. So unless we don't both have headphones on at the same time. So I'm trying to change things. We're having a discussion actively. We need to go back to monitors.
Yeah, it's like, put the headphones on. Okay, my headphones on me. What are you talking about again?
It's not working. It's not working. So we were just actually talking earlier. we don't have monitors down here in the keys, so we're having some difficulty mixing some of the newer things. So.
But I do, but I like to hear what it's going to sound like in different.
Yeah, go back and forth.
I like, and I'll even like put it on. Not that I'm mixing, in the car. I'll just play it and hear what it sounds like on the speaker. I want to hear what it just sounds like in different.
Our speakers are terrible, and
I know
this is one of the things we argue about. He's trying to mix on.
No, I'm not
speakers.
mixing on the car speakers. I just like to hear what it sounds like. That's all.
No, you shouldn't be mixing the car speakers. But you shouldn't.
I'm not. I'm not mixing in the car speakers.
You should be listening to it on there. You know what I use? This is so weird. I've had this thing for about 10 years. Look at how ugly it is. It is so revolting. It came with my Windows mobile phone for free. It's this little USB speaker made of plastic, but I love putting a mix through this because if you can get your mix to sound okay through this.
Right.
It's going to sound good on fucking everything. Right?
Absolutely.
And I've had people laugh at me and go, what? Why would you do that? And it's like, because it's important. Because the majority of people who listen to our songs, unfortunately, listen to them on phones.
Right. Forget the bass. Your bass is gone, which is really sad.
Or don't say anything. They listen to them on Hippie Show and it's in mono. Boom. Sorry, Hippie. You know I love you, Hippie. Hippie loves it when I give him shit. In fact, he hates me actually when I do that. So, but no, the point is that people do listen to it across very different things. So that's why great engineers will tell you, listen to it on a phone, listen to it on a car stereo, listen to it on this stupid little speaker. It makes sense. It's not a dumb thing. It was one of the first things I learned recording in a studio because I paid in my first band we paid something like I think it was $600 for our first demo, and then we were mixing it, and then the engineer went, "All right, all of you out to my car," and we were like, "What?" And then we got jumped in this guy's shitty little Corolla, and we're listening to this song in his car, and I'm like, why are we paying this guy? I think he's an idiot. And little did I know, every engineer does it, It is the thing to do. Another thing I want to bring up, let's play this vocal here because even recording this in the car, this is the thing. Listen to the background noise on this vocal track. There's hardly anything there. Hang on, let me pull everything else out.
Fine. All the time we'll be fine.
Let me take out all the stuff.
We'll be fine. All the time. We'll be fine. All the time. We'll be fine.
Right, so that one there sounds like it was recorded inside. Now, let's go over to this one here. See, this is where I think my hearing's still okay for years of playing in bands somehow. If we go over to this verse, listen to the background. That's in the car.
You see everything you want to see. You are everywhere I want to be.
Compared to...
must be places almost anywhere.
Where that's a really dead room. That room is much deader. But again, in the mix, you're not going to see this stuff. There's going to be nobody out there who goes, "Oh my God, can you believe it? They recorded one verse in the car and the other verse in a room." That sounded like it was treated.
One in the basement, one in the closet,
I'm wondering if I suspect this one was in the closet because it sounds so dead compared to the other one. But these are things that
the only thing I could think of, if I did do it in the car, maybe some takes that I did it and I had the air conditioner on or something, or it was running.
No. You always turn that off. You don't do that.
Not always. Sometimes it's too hot.
Yeah.
I thought they turned it off, but you turn it off.
I probably did it in a closet.
I think the point I'm trying to make is, with vocals, I know that people get worried about the bleed even in their headphones, and they're like, "Oh, I can hear it through that." Really don't. You can go into the best studios in the world and you will hear the bleed in the vocal tracks. You will always hear it, unless you've got it way turned down. Not everyone can hear everything as well. My hearing's pretty shit. So I've always got my headphones turned up really loud when I'm recording stuff. We're at, where are we? 9:36. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to play through the song and bring everything in piece by piece. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to bounce this across. And I think we've covered every instrument in here. So at least we've covered every instrument. And I'm going to start with the main piece and bring everything in slowly. And then we'll bounce this across and we'll see what it looks like as a mix. And then we'll listen to it as a master. So we'll hear the whole song in this mixing phase before it goes out to be mastered, just to show you guys the difference of when a song gets mastered compared to here we are in GarageBand. Now, before I do this, I noticed down here at the bottom, you guys don't use this little trick in GarageBand that Pete Johns uses with adding the little effects track to bring down the volume. But you do mix your tracks very low. So you can see here down the side, your tracks, you don't have the volumes way up here. So when we play the song, you're going to see this meter around halfway, which is a good thing. But you guys know when you send me a track, I normally lower it anyway from the mix. But let's play this now. Let's do this. We'll bring in the bass next. I'll shut up. I'll mute all of us.
You see everything I want to see. You are everywhere I want to be. Want to need, going down, down, down. Oh, you say everything I want to say. You go anywhere you want today. Want to play, going down, down, down. Oh, from the outside looking in, shiny, beautiful, you win. You run around and go, but can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead. You need time to mend. I can't be done alone. I'll take you there. Somewhere must be places almost anywhere. Moving quickly, we will cross the line. Almost time, we'll be fine, fine, fine. All the time, there's no need to worry, and it's time to go. Got a feeling that we can't deny. Just you and I will be fine, fine, fine. All the time. See you stop, you grab and miss. Touch the sky, it's in your reach. You run around and go, but can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead. You need time to mend. I can't be done alone. I'll take you there. We'll be fine, fine, fine. All the time, we'll be fine. We'll be fine, fine, fine. All the time, we'll be fine. All the time. See you stop, you grab and miss. Touch the sky, it's in your reach. You run around and go, but can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead. You need time to mend. I can't be done alone. I'll take you there.
Perfect. Sounds great. It sounds amazing. Let's show you a mix down. So let's do a mix down. As you can hear, it's really perfectly mixed. It sounds great as it is, you know. So what we're going to do here in GarageBand is we're just going to jump over here, shut this down, and we're going to select this file. And how do I do a mix down? It's been a while. There we go. Song. We're going to do an uncompressed wave. Open in. And shoot this over to Audio Share, and I'll show you the process that I go through over on the Patreon to master Ron and Jenny's songs. Because I've done a lot of them, haven't I?
Just a couple, just a few.
At least 19.
At least 19. That was a big job.
More.
That was a big job.
I think it's more.
I know.
It's amazing.
And because, you wouldn't have
We
seen
did it twice.
Yeah. You wouldn't have seen this as well, too, because a lot of the songs on that album were recorded over different periods of time. So some of them had slightly different mixes than the others. So I spent a bit of time trying to bring up certain songs' brightness to be as bright as the other songs on the album. You know, then that's what you got to do when you've got songs that are recorded over such a long period of time, because you're not going to be using the same setup each time.
Right.
And
I felt bad too, because I know you weren't feeling great during that time, and it was like, oh, you're mastering 19 songs and you're not feeling great. Made me feel bad, but you did an amazing job.
No, I love doing it. I love mastering songs. It's something that I never thought I would be so into, but I really do enjoy hearing it go from a mix to a master. So here we are with a mix here. Now, you've all heard the level of it. So the thing is with GarageBand too, because GarageBand has this auto limiter on it, and it's little bit different than the Mac version. It takes the volume of the song and it limits it, and it makes it a little bit louder. So it tries to make it like a finished song. So you can see up here we don't have a lot of room to master. So, you know, and there's plenty of variation here within the song. So normally what I would do with a track that looks about this big, and it's okay, this ain't going to hurt the song, so don't get worried about this, is I will open this up in another program. I say Auria. We'll do it in Auria, which is not what I normally do. And let's go to my menu, create a new project. Now, this is important. If you're like lowering the volume of a song, make sure you understand what the bit rate is. 24 bits, 44 hertz, right? So we know that. So if I open a project here in Auria, I can't pick 48. I've got to pick 44 because it'll change the speed. It'll mess everything up. So I'm going to pick 44 here. We'll just call this the Wolves Show and hit save. We've got a single track. Now what I'm going to do is bring up my Files app, find this track in Audio Share. There it is. And just drag it in here. And look at that. It didn't work. I love it when that happens. We'll do it this way. So now that we've got it here, we'll copy it into, how do we do this? We'll copy it into the Files app, and we'll put it in Auria Pro. There it is, Auria Pro. And save it there. Remember what it's called. I'll take you there. And I'll import it this way. Let's do this. Go to Menu, add Import File, and it should be in here under I, if I can spell. I'll take you there. There it is. I'll take you there for Jade. It's this one. So I'll click on that and import. And there's our track. Yeah. So you can see pretty loud. So what I'm going to do to master this is just jump over to our mixer. I'm just going to pull the volume down about 5 decibels. Yeah. Let's just pull it down to there. Hit menu. We'll do a mix down. So this isn't changing the song or anything like that. It's just lowering the volume. Yeah. So we've got a bit more room to master. Send over to Audio Share. Ideally, when you master, you want to pull it down in that first that mix. But GarageBand in iOS doesn't allow you to do it. You can try the trick where you scream and stuff. Pete's covered it on his channel. But this is just as good now. So now when we get this file, heaps of room. Heaps of room. Look at all that. Plenty of room there. Now we're gonna pop this over into, I'm gonna use Lessons to master this. Alrighty, so we'll bring all the levels to 0 here in Lessons, and let's just play the track, see what it sounds like. Here it is without mastering. And let's turn on our mastering.
You see everything I want to see. You are everywhere I want to be. Want to need, going down, down, down. Oh. You say everything I.
All right, I'm going to shoot this across, just get a rough idea of how it's sounding. So we want to keep it. We want to keep it at 44, 24-bit. Shoot it, export it. What's happened?
Okay, so we had a weird thing with this song where it wasn't forwarding a piano track. Why don't you explain that? It was missing a piano track, and you had to do this crazy thing to get the piano track back in.
She thinks the piano track is missing on that, and it was happening when I was doing it. It's a long story.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Let's go back to the project.
And I could never figure it out. I had to end up, instead of when I would put it from the GarageBand project into a file, all the piano stuff wouldn't come out. So I ended up having to do a screenshot of it.
Oh, really?
And it would all play. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing.
This song is weird in so many ways. So yeah, I don't know how, and I was all worried that the screenshot was not going to have as high quality piano when we put it back together, but no one seemed to notice. I guess it was good enough.
It's fine. I'm just saying
let's hear it.
Weird.
It's not in there.
Well, it's not in. Give it a couple of seconds. Here's where it should come in. See?
Wow, that's really weird.
I know. And I wanted to ask somebody, but on the comments when how do you even explain it? And
it's selected too. It's actually like I've soloed all the tracks. What a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
And yet
it's
look,
just
GarageBand, what can I say? Fucking
I know.
Weird. Yeah, this was another problem with the song. Another reason the song almost didn't happen, because it was driving us crazy. And
so you screen recorded this?
Well, like what you have up there, and I did this whole screenshot thing, and then put it on what is it called, audio converter or something? Yeah. I did that, and then I put it into a file, and then it was fine and everything. It was weird.
Yeah, because look, they're all selected and the volumes are there, but the piano's clearly not there. That is really, really bizarre.
It is.
Yeah, you could try moving it to new tracks. That's another thing you could do as well, because that does happen sometimes. GarageBand, just the track dies, and as soon as you move it to another track, let's see, can we, because it's these two, isn't it? These top ones.
It's probably all four of them.
You say everything I want.
And what you would do is you would click on this. Oh, it's not even letting me duplicate. And then take the whole track, copy it, and then paste it in here. And then unsolo this. Do the same for this. See if it works. Duplicate. Select all, copy. Let's just see if this works. We'll do a quick mix of this and we'll see if we can solve this problem, because I've had similar things like this happen before with tracks. And we'll just to try these 2 piano tracks to see if they at least work. And we'll do a quick mix down. Just make sure they're all soloed. Yeah. Technology, hey, we live in this technological world, and not everything's perfect. So we'll do a quick mix.
And so you ended up when you did the master.
I remember this now. Yeah.
It was actually, now that I think about it, it was I remember sending you the file. I never even listened to it, and then I started listening to it because you were about to master it. I'm like, oh my God, it doesn't have the pianos in it. And that's when I was just like, yeah. And then I was like trying to figure it out. And I ended up having to do what we just talked about and then sent it back to you. And then you mastered it and it sounded great. But it was just, one of those weird things.
Yeah. And in answer to Ed here, hi Ed as well, there is no automation on the piano track. So it's definitely not that. But sometimes, like even with my Dread Circus album that I've been working on all these years, I have had similar things like this. Everything's been cool. I've dumped the track, gone and worked on something else, come back to it, opened it up, done a mix down, and 4 tracks just aren't working. And so I ended up, I think one of them I ended up duplicating the track, and that fixed it. And the other thing I did was exactly what I've done here. Let's send this across. Let's see if these pianos are in here now on this track.
You go anywhere you
No.
want today. Want to play, going down, down, down. From the outside.
Some of them are in there. That's weird because the one of them's in there.
It's the higher funky piano.
There you go. Something that, again, something's weird with GarageBand. I pick on GarageBand way too much because it's not only GarageBand. There's lots of DAWs that this does happen to. Absolutely. This happens all the time with DAWs. We're working in a digital realm. So I'm guessing, just to explain how you did this, was you screen recorded the song. Did a screen recording, put it into an app, split the audio from there, and then sent that to me, and I mastered it. Far out.
Exactly.
Just to show you, though, the difference between these 2 tracks that we mastered, let's have a look. This was the original. This was the original mix. Even though it's missing, let's go to the chorus.
You run around and go.
And here's the chorus now.
On the outside looking in, shiny, beautiful, you win. You run around and go, but can't get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead. You need time to make.
Now, there's more volume in that. So, I know there's people probably going, so you've just made it louder. But no, it's definitely not louder. It's just sonically things have been brought up. There is a degree of volume that has been brought up. But the one thing that you won't see here, this is not a solid wall, right? You see with the loudness wars people had, mastered songs were just a wall. There's still definition. When we go back and look at this track, you can see, here we go, there's the chorus. Here's your verse, it drops back down. And when we look at this final master here, those are still in there, right? They're just a little bit louder and a little bit thicker. Everything's thicker and fuller. And that's just by looking at it, right? So, and you don't mix with your eyes, of course. You don't master with your eyes as well. But there's a component where you do use your eyes because you've got to look at things and you've got to hear things. They've got to sound sonically right as well. We'll go to the end.
Slow down, move ahead. You need time to
Oops, wrong one.
get anywhere. Slow down, move ahead.
And I'm taking a guess, that could be too loud. Let's just do a quick loudness penalty check. Loudness penalty. We'll load in this file, even though it's missing the piano, of course. And this will tell us if the master is too loud for streaming services. Be good, be good, be good. Look at It's like spot on.
Amazing.
That's your master right there. It could be a little bit louder, and but that you can see we got a 0. Apple's normally about a 2.5. We could probably make it a little bit louder, and that's going to be a good master. That's going to be sonically pleasing across all the streaming services, and perfect. All right, we've only got 3 minutes to get the fuck out of here. Because Pete Johns is up next. Let's bring us both in. I want to thank you both for coming on here today and showing us behind the scenes of your music and letting me mess around with it and being confident enough to do so. I want to thank everybody for being here in the chat. I hope you got something from this. If you're enjoying these shows at the end of each month, let me know. Hit the like, leave a comment. Tell me that you're enjoying these shows. Next month, we've got Kim Harden Hudson on here. We're going to be taking a look at one of her songs, so that's really exciting. We're going to be using the Mac for that, so that's cool. I want to thank my sponsor, as always, DistroKid, who I love very, very much. And thank you. Any parting words before we get out of here? The wonderful Ron and Jenny, take the floor, my friends.
Oh, parting words. I didn't prepare for this, Ron. Do you have anything to say?
Yes. Jade, thank you for everything you do for us and for everyone in the community. It's more than you can imagine. Absolutely. And it helps us so much, and really happy to do this. Absolutely. And thank you.
Make our life more full, more happy. I'm at a loss for words. She's saying something.
Thank you so much. I just sit here and talk shit. It's you guys who do all the work, and I'm surprised you even listen to me rabbit on half the time. So, folks, take a good long hard look at these, because in an hour's time I have a hairdresser coming here, and I am losing the dreadlocks in about an hour's time. So you'll see me back here on the channel on Saturday night doing the opening hour, finishing off the 3rd episode of my Nonconformist album. Also, guys, I've got a premiere tomorrow, like I do every Friday, just before the Wart quiz that is happening tomorrow. If you are a Wart warrior here on the channel, it is happening tomorrow. So make sure, let me bring up the screen, make sure you get over here. If you're a Wart warrior, to check out the 80s quiz. We've got room for 50 people to join the quiz. Yes. So make sure you come over and join the quiz tomorrow. It's going to be good fun. And that's all I need to do for advertising and all that kind of thing. I think I've covered everything. We're good. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Hang on the line while we do the outro music and all that stuff, and I'll say goodbye to you off the air. I'm going to dump you all over to Pete Johns. He's got Patrick from the GarageBand Jade on the show. He's doing his podcast up next, so I will dump you over there immediately after this show. Thank you all very much. Remember, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. And at the end of the day, oh yeah, we'll all rise together, 'cause you make me shine better. We'll all rise together. You make me shine better.